Meadows, the Spacecow adventure. Once upon a time, on a cheerful farm known as Moo Meadows, there was a group of cows with an unusual dream. While most cows were content munching on grass, enjoying sunny days, and swatting flies with their tails, a small group had a much grander ambition. They wanted to build a spaceship and explore the stars. The idea was sparked one night when Daisy, the cleverest cow on the farm, looked up at the starry sky. She was lounging by the barn, her cowbell softly clinking as she thought out loud, "What do you think it would be like up there, in the stars?" Betsy, the barnyard scientist cow, gasped, "Why, it would be amazing, Daisy. Imagine floating among the stars, tasting space grass, and maybe even meeting space cows." The other cows perked up. Meeting space cows? That sounded fantastic. And so, the idea of building a spaceship was born. The great farmyard planning early the next morning, Daisy and Betsy called for a meeting in the barn. They brought along Buttercup, the strongest cow, Clover, the artist and designer, and Tilly, who was just excited to be part of any adventure. "All right, team," said Daisy, a sparkle in her eye. "We're going to build the first ever cow spaceship." Buttercup looked doubtful. What exactly are we building it out of?" Betsy held up her hoof. "I have an idea. We can use the parts from Farmer Frank's old tractor. He hasn't used it in years." Tilly wiggled her ears excitedly. "And we can use the shiny tin roof from the chicken coop. The chickens are always saying it's too hot in there, anyway." So the cows got to work. Buttercup dragged the rusty old tractor to the barn. With great effort, she heaved it into the barn with her mighty cow muscles. The chickens squawked as they helped remove the tin roof, though they agreed they could use a little more shade. Building the Spacecow, once the materials were gathered, Clover, the artistic cow, sketched a design. She used her tail to draw a blueprint in the dirt. "Okay, this is the Spacecow, she declared, gesturing with a flourish. "It will be sleek, with wings like a bird, and big enough to fit us all comfortably." They spent days hammering, mooing, and moody-rating each other. Betsy wired the tractor's engine with parts from the barn, while Tilly painted stars on the tin roof to make it look extra cosmic. Clover added a few pink flowers for a personal touch. The goats, sheep, and chickens occasionally peered in, curious but confused. "Moo Meadows cows have lost it," they whispered. But the cows didn't mind. They were determined to make Spacecow the greatest spaceship ever. Finally, the ship was ready. It was a hodgepodge of tractor wheels, tin roof panels, and random farm tools. It didn't look like much, but to the cows, it was beautiful. Countdown to launch on launch day, the cows invited the entire farm to watch. The chickens clucked nervously, the sheep bleated, and the goats were convinced this was some elaborate joke. But the cows were serious. They each donned helmets made from watering cans and strapped on saddlebags filled with hay and apples for the journey. Farmer Frank, oblivious to the whole plan, was out buying supplies. The cows knew they had to be quick before he came back. "Ready?" Betsy called out from the pilot's seat, adjusting her helmet. "Ready," the other cows mooed back. Betsy pressed the big, red go button they'd rigged up, and the Spacecow lurched forward. It rolled down the hill, picking up speed as it went. The farm animals watched, stunned, as the spaceship barn tractor hybrid shot through the fields, gaining speed as it approached the pasture fence. "Hang on, crew!" Betsy shouted. Blast off and the great moo-dyssey with a final bump, Spacecow 1 hit the fence, shot over it, and zoomed up into the sky. Somehow, maybe it was the power of their collective mooing, the cows felt themselves lifting higher and higher, breaking free from the farm. "We're in space!" Tilly squealed, looking out a porthole. The cows looked around in awe. Stars twinkled in every direction. They were weightless, floating around the cabin and munching on floating apples and hay as they admired the cosmos. Then, they spotted it, a group of shimmering space cows floating nearby, each with glimmering, starry fur and mooing in a musical, cosmic tone. The Spacecow 1 crew couldn't believe it. "Space cows!" Betsy gasped. The space cows welcomed them with a gentle moo. They even invited the Moo Meadows cows to join them for a moon grazing session on a nearby asteroid. And so, they all floated over, chomping on delicious moon grass that tasted faintly of stardust and dreams. The journey home after hours of fun with their new space friends, it was time to head back. They bid farewell, promising to meet again someday among the stars. As the cows guided the Spacecow 1 back toward Earth, they braced for re-entry. With a flaming trail, they crash-landed back in the meadow, just as Farmer Frank returned. The spaceship, a little singed and dented, came to a rest right beside the barn. Farmer Frank shook his head in disbelief, muttering, "How did my tractor end up over here?" The cows, back on solid ground, looked at each other and giggled, still giddy from their space adventure. No one believed their story, of course. But every night, they'd look up at the stars, remembering their trip among the space cows. And if you listened very closely on a quiet night, you might just hear a faint, otherworldly moo drifting down from the stars above.